big week in pro wrestling, and a very wild week for one Darius Carter. For those who don't know, I will explain very briefly before he comes on. Let's take a look here. Now, yeah, he also wrestled Matt Riddle over the weekend, so he definitely wasn't short of So, oh, jeez. I got a call waiting on my line over here, but that's not him. Okay, so he wrestled multiple times over this week. And on Friday, if I remember this right, hold on, let's just take a look over here. I want to make sure that my dates are accurate. Let me see if I can find it. He tweets all the time. It's really hard. Yeah, on Friday he wrestled Pete Dunne. And there was an incident where Dunne got busted open the hard way, as we like to stay in the wrestling business. And it was because, unfortunately for him, because of Darius Carter. Now, it got to a point, like the backlash that came about on the internet afterward was absolutely insane. Between everybody, there are people who criticized him. There are people who were on his side. From what I saw on Twitter through accounts like, and I'm going to throw a couple plugs out here, Joe K, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, at JOCAY19. He was posting a lot of stuff over the weekend for many of the wrestling events, and he posted a lot of good shots of Carter versus Dunne. And from what I thought, looking at everything, it was a solid match. There were a bunch of others who were participating and sharing these videos. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm going to see if I can try and read them off for you before. But either way, that match took place for Battle Club Pro in Brooklyn. And afterward, Pete Dunne went to the hospital, received stitches, and again, it got to the point where Tier 1 Wrestling Management, who was, I'm assuming co-promoting the show, I'm not so sure, and when he comes on, I'll hopefully look to get a little bit more out of it, to the point where Tier 1 Wrestling had to break character, and Darius Carter as well, where Darius Carter tweeted out to Pete Dunne, quote, "I am truly sorry for what happened last night from man to man. I've never been more distraught. Thank you for all prior." And the comments on here, I mean, some people were like, "Oh, F you, this one." Let's take a look. One comment said, "That could cost Dunne a few matches now on the UK scene, but at least, Carter apologized to him, which is the right thing." Then people were like, "Oh, you took long enough," and whatever, and basically saying that he's careless, and people should be boycotting him. Darius Carter. Let's see. A couple of FUs. You suck balls. Let's take a look. You are trash. You did it deliberately. You shit. A lot of nasty stuff. And then there were a lot of other people who stood up for him, which was, in my opinion, the right thing to do. Because again, I'm not just saying this because I know him. And here we go. I think we got him on right now. We got LDN Wrestling World Champion, as well as former Tier 1 world champion. Are you current Tier 1 champion there, Darius?
Well, firstly, hello. It's
Hello.
Mr. Darius Carter, Wrestling's Richest Prize. Thank you for introducing me. But, yeah, technically, according to the rule books, I'm not Tier 1 Wrestling nor 5-Borough Wrestling champion. However, I am carrying the championship. Possession is 9/10 of the law, and I'm the rightful champion, so go right ahead.
All right, so as for what Darius Carter had said, carrying holder of the Tier 1 Wrestling and 5-Borough Wrestling titles, as well as LDN Wrestling World Champion, and again, a former number 1 ranked wrestler here on the Indie Power Rankings. Thank you for taking the time out to coming on after what was, let's just put it bluntly, one hell of a weekend.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was just lightly explaining it, and I'm just going to jump right into this first because it was the hot news over the weekend, and I want to just disclose this here really quick. I asked Darius to come on the show before all this got out about, well, like widespread on Twitter and all that, before the incident in which that happened. So for all you be like, oh, you're getting him on for publicity, but no. Darius and I go back a little bit, and Darius has always treated me with a lot of respect, character differences aside, in the locker rooms that I've been able to, go and, hang out with him at. And, I'm just glad that now he gets a chance to kind of really verbalize his side of the story in which what happened and everything of the sort. So before I just let you go ahead and talk about everything that happened, I had said before that yourself and Tier 1 Wrestling Management had thrown out there, like, pretty much after the fact, like when the show was over, Pete Dunne had to go to the hospital, and you were trying to do the right thing by going to apologize to him again, even though you apologized to him in the locker room. And, folks, wrestling, it is what it is. Accidents happen. And unfortunately, it was just one of those incidents where it happened and all hell broke loose. So before I continue rambling on, if you could describe in your words the best, that you can, everything that happened on Friday.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty simple, and I think the big thing is that a lot of this got overblown, and I don't mean overblown in the sense of the result, because Pete did end up not competing on 2 Progress Wrestling shows, which killed me, because you don't want to take money out of anyone's pocket. You don't want to stop anyone from doing what they love to do. If that happened to me, that'd be really, really unfortunate, and I wouldn't be in the best state of mind either. But he was, well, let's go to how it happened. So we're having a match, and I hit him with the championship belt, the Tier 1 title, because some people are saying it was the WWE title. I mean, I'm hearing all these stories, these versions of what happened,
Right.
And a lot of it is from people that weren't even there, and that's what really drives me nuts. It's just, if you weren't there, get your facts straight, research, do yourself a favor. Just don't put out things without researching and knowing what happened. So anyway, I hit him with the belt. And the belt, it's a Tier 1 title, and the belt ended up actually, and you can see he gets his hands up fine. So what happens is the strap wrapped around his head and hit him in the head, and that's what ended up cutting him open. We're, of course, going to the end. I'm about to wrap it up, and I see him bleeding, and I ended up being honest. I see a WWE superstar, and I froze up a little bit, and I mean mentally froze up. I looked at him. I said, "Oh man, I'm in trouble now." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm really in trouble." And then I go to hit him. I pick him up with the pedigree, and the pedigree could have been so much better. I shouldn't have been doing. After that point, I honestly, and this is what I told him. I said, I don't think I should have done anything physical. I should have just gone and ended it. But I went to the pedigree, and we both call it in there, and I hit him with it, and I should have let his arms go, and it didn't work out, and I really, when I saw him laying there, I was still in that mindset, like my body was moving, but my head, I was still in the same place. And so I hit it, what have you. And then we go to the end. He rolls me up, and I didn't know, if I should kick out or not, because it's his move. He's gonna hit me with the bitter end. He's gonna beat me. That's it. And I didn't want to take that from him if he still wanted that, and he wasn't answering me while he pinned me. So then I kicked out, and then we went into the choke because he just said tap, so I tapped immediately. That's what happened, and it's after the end, that's where things got a little jumbled. But in terms of how the injury happened, in terms of intentional, not intentional, I mean, give me a break, you know what I mean? It's people just want to, what it is people just sometimes want to see you burn, man, and they'll say, and when they see something like this, they jump right on it. They don't care about finding it out. They don't care about knowing what actually happened. They just haven't liked you for a while, and this is an opportunity for them to voice it. And I think that's what happened. I think a lot of it became less about Pete and his safety and more about burning me. And that, to me, is what bothers me, too, because if you care about Pete so much and you're so upset about it, I hope everybody that reached out to me reached out to him first before coming to me, or mentioning my name. I hope every one of those people went over to Pete. And they didn't. They didn't. So I fully take responsibility for it. That was never a question. I spoke to Pete after. He was fine with it. Of course he was upset. He's hot at first, but we get back. He's okay. We talked. Went to the hospital to find this man. He wasn't even there. The Woodhull Hospital, which was the closest hospital to that, to the venue that we were at, on Tompkins Ave, 70 Tompkins Ave. The closest one was Woodhull. We go there. This is 1:40 in the morning, what have you. We're waiting. We're looking for this man's real name. I found out, what have you. Found out his real name. Described him to the guy. He wasn't there. Checked out another hospital, Kings County, wasn't there. So it's like I did what I could, and it was a complete and utter accident. It was a mishap. But I think with me, you know what I mean? It's just it was just another opportunity for people to lash out. People that didn't like me already, don't think that those are new feelings. Those were harbored feelings that they unleashed. And so be it. The fans had the right to be upset about Progress. And that's, I feel bad for Progress. I feel bad for what he had planned. And that's the part that really gets me. But in terms of, some of the boys trying to, put me down and all that other stuff and publicly and what's that for?
Yeah, not to cut you off from your thought. I mean, the fan reaction's one thing. I mean, like you said, everybody when something happens like this. Now, I'll ask you this question before I get on to my point that I was going to say. If this incident had happened to anybody else who was not a part-time, I don't want to say part-time contract, he's holding a WWE championship currently. If it wasn't a WWE superstar that you were in the ring against and just, again, like I said before, I let you explain everything. It's wrestling. I mean, I got busted open by Jason Carrion, and I had to get 12 stitches that night. It was like one of my first matches in wrestling. Do I hold it against it? No. And you know what? It happens. It's wrestling. But, if this happened to anybody else, I mean, even, let's say, God forbid, if it was like a Matt Riddle, who you also wrestled over the weekend, I mean, do you feel that any of this backlash would have been half as bad?
No. I don't think so. I think that had a lot to do with it. I think there's still, depending on who it was, even if it was Matt Riddle, there could have been an outpour. But I don't think it would have been anywhere near the depth as this. And I think that the thing is, I mean, I got the match with Pete Dunne, and a lot of people wanted that match. So there's an aspect to that. There's an aspect of why does this guy get it instead of me? Putting down the work that I've done, the hard work I've done, just because you don't like me for whatever reason. as if
Right.
I didn't have to beg or plead or ask for these opportunities. These opportunities are being provided to me.